It's May 1st, and I'm celebrating the fertility of nature as we step into summer in the Northern Hemisphere. I've been starting my mornings in worship of the sun for as long as I can remember. This has been a constant for me ever since I was a little girl. Morning movement with the sun on my face and the grass underneath the trees. Sometimes the simple things are the most potent medicine. This spring, I've been thinking about all of the endings that have given birth to this new state of being. All life starts in the darkness of fertile soil. Thank God for the contrast, for giving me perspective to soak in all of the light that has come. Good morning, everybody. It's finally springtime, and I am so excited for the return of the sun. It's supposed to be a very warm day today here in the mountains, and I plan on spending every last moment that I can outside because springtime in the mountains is my absolute favorite time of year. I love finding all of the new wildflowers popping up every single day and seeing the shifts and the different shades of green and spending time with the pollinators, studying the earth. And I've been spending a lot of time thinking about the opportunity to begin again every single year, every single moment, and the cycles of the earth and the cycles of our bodies. And in school, we learned that as women, we cycle through life cycles every 7 years. So if you think about growing up, once you hit 7, there's some big changes happening in your body. Once you hit 14, that's usually the commencement of your menses. And then once you hit 21, you're stepping out to the world, you're taking your first steps as an adult, independence. And each life cycle really does give you an opportunity to birth, to begin again. And this springtime, I'm really dropping into that feeling of new beginnings because the bird song and the new life that I see budding all around me really reminds me that we do have a million opportunities to start again. And you can even drop into that 7 cycle, that 7 momentum and cadence with each breath. So if you notice every 7 breaths, maybe you can take a deeper breath. Every 7 minutes, maybe you can spend a minute in presence. Every 7 days, maybe you spend a day in resting. That's very similar to how we set up a work week. We spend 6 days working and then we have a 7th day of rest. And really, we need more rest than we think we do, but if we cycle our lives like that, it can be a really beautiful opportunity to drop into the never-ending opportunities to birth new, to metamorphosize, to just change the cadence of our lives. And I think we really are in a time where there is going to be a lot of death and a lot of shifts in our human paradigms and the way that we have been showing up in this world. We can no longer move forward from this patriarchal go, 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 always busy society. We need to move back into a feminine, back into a more yin, resting and replenishing perspective. This is very true for the soil as well. Every 7 years or so, you need to let a piece of land rest. You cannot sow continually from the same piece of land because it will become depleted. So you need to allow it to rest. And the same is true for our bodies. We have this soil of our being, and we only become inspired and we only become the healthiest versions of ourselves when we allow ourselves those moments to rest and rebirth and become new again and just step into new timelines. And so my biggest commitment to myself this year has been to surrender. That has been my word of the year, but also to find more and more ways to deepen into the present moment and become this vortex and this portal of complete presence for everybody around me, so that when people look at me, when people are in my presence, they experience the peace and they experience the presence, and they are also transmuted into this moment of complete and utter stillness with the beauty that is the human experience and the experience of being in the here and now, because what a gift it is to be alive at the same time as wildflowers and coniferous trees and deciduous trees and all of these metamorphic beings like the butterflies and the earth tenders like the bees, and just all of the opportunities to learn from their wisdom, and also to learn from the wisdom of each other and just be those portals of presence for one another. And so that is my goal as a human being. I just want to be the most present. I want to be the most alive version of myself that I can. And I know that I spend a lot of time in busyness. I know I spend a lot of time in the doing, but the more I drop into the now, the more I experience the ultimate being. And being is this place for me where I am in complete rhythm and complete flow with my body and with the natural cycles of the earth. And the simplest way to remind my body and to remind my mind what that is to step back out into nature and remember that this is not other. I am not other. I am a part of it. We are not separate, and that separateness is what drives the fundamental disconnects of society, the fundamental woundings of society, is that we see ourselves as separate. We see ourselves as not a part of the natural world, and when we look to the natural world as something not a part of us, we look to it as something that we can extract from, something that we can take from, something that we get beauty from, substances from, resources from. But when we see that we are a part of it, when we see that we are ultimately tied to the well-being of the earth, when our well-being is directly tied to the health of the soil, then we know that when we take care of ourselves, we are also taking care of the earth, and when we take care of the earth, we are also taking care of ourselves. And so this reciprocal relationship starts to morph into an ultimate knowing that we are one and the same. And yeah, so I am just sitting here reveling in the beauty and the divinity that is experiencing this very moment exactly as it is. So I hope that you guys are also dropping into some moments of presence, and if you're able to, maybe extend your exhale, maybe extend your breath deep, deep, deep into the vastness that you are, deep into your belly, and feel it expand just like the earth, and then maybe feel it contract and spend more time in that contraction and what that really feels like, because we are in this constant state of expansion and contraction, and in that contraction we come home to ourselves, and when we come home to ourselves we remember who we are. So yeah, that's what I'm doing this morning, is I'm coming home to myself and I'm nourishing my body with a very nourishing breakfast. I'm having some eggs from our chickens. I'm having some dates that I picked up back at school from a local farm. I put coconut oil in them because we are out of butter, but I would prefer to have butter because we usually source that close to home. I'm having some local kimchi that was made from some friends down the road, and then I'm having some raw local honey and bee pollen to just support my hormones, support my allergies, and support my body as we adapt and change into this new season. And then the strawberries that I'm having are also from a farm that I picked up back at school and brought home to my family. And I'm also having a rose latte that I made with chamomile tea, and then I added in some raw milk, I mixed in some rose powder, and I added some raw local honey and vanilla, and then I topped it all with some herbs from the garden such as calendula, more rose and more chamomile, and I'm just sipping on that while I sit in the sunshine. I really love rose because rose is this beautiful tie into this moment. When I harvest roses, I usually harvest them in different phases of their life cycle. So what I normally will do will harvest the rose buds because those contain the opportunity to begin again. Those contain that potential of almost birthing something, and so sitting in that energy of the almost birthing, that energy of just containing the beauty for 1 second longer before I offer it to the world is something that I'm really trying to take in, because I feel like especially more earthy, giving, mothering individuals tend to want to give everything that they receive themselves. You receive a gift, you receive food. The first thing I want to do is gift it to others, and I think that's very beautiful, but I think it's also really important that we sit in the beauty of the offerings for ourselves. And so I'm really tapping into that energy. And then when I harvest the roses that have already opened, it is that energy of opening and offering a calm nervous system, and so that energy I really like as well. And so those two energies are in this drink, but the full energy of rose is that it really ties our womb and our heart through the vagus nerve. Rose is a very calming, nervous system tonifying herb, has very uplifting and opening properties, kind of like how it opens towards the sun, and so I really, really, really love to tie into that. And the beautiful part about it is that our hearts and our wombs are very similar in the fact that they are the only places in our body that are made up of this intermediate muscle. Everywhere else in our body does not contain this intermediate muscle, and that is really beautiful because they contain this ability to expand and contract and to birth new thoughts, to birth new beings, to birth new states of mind, to birth new opportunities. Our heartbeat is what's keeping us alive, and our womb is the container for the future. And so in Chinese medicine, there is a channel called the Bao Mai that connects the two, and in Western medicine, there is the vagus nerve that connects the two. It connects our throat, it connects our heart, it connects all the way through, all the way up to our brain. And so that is what this drink is really doing. It is acting as a bridge between my heart and womb, and just allowing me to drop into those energy centers. harvesting some white willow branches to make a white willow tincture. The bark of white willow contains salicin, which is where salicylic acid originally comes from, and in combination with the herb's powerful anti-inflammatory compounds, which we know as antioxidants and flavonoids, the salicin is really great at alleviating pain and having an anti-inflammatory effect on the body. White willow is amazing at regulating the production of prostaglandins and reducing inflammation, so this is really helpful around our periods to alleviate cramps. Also, salicylic acid is regularly used in skincare because it helps exfoliate the skin, and similarly, white willow bark helps promote cell turnover and removes dead skin cells and excess oil from the skin, which helps alleviate acne and give us an even-toned complexion. So to make my tincture, I find white willow trees and I harvest the young branches above a nodule in order to allow for new growth, and I ensure that I am not over harvesting from a singular plant. I then spend some time stripping the outer bark away from the inner bark, and this is very calming to me. It feels very ancestral. We are meant to work with our hands, and I love this practice. Once I fill a bowl with the bark, I add that into a jar until the jar is 3/4 of the way full, and then I cover it with an alcohol. I usually use organic cane spirits for this. Then I will top the jar with a lid, give it a shake, ensure everything is covered and saturated in my solvent, which is my alcohol, and then I date and label the jar and set it in a cool, dark space to infuse for about 5 weeks or longer, and once it is done, it'll be this beautiful dark amber liquid that you can spray on your skin or take internally to alleviate pain and also treat acne or other skin conditions. I then noticed the deer family that tends to pay regular visits to our house, and I found an apple that we had sitting around that was kind of old and bruised, so I threw it into the yard to offer them a nice tasty treat before I headed out to the river for another short walk. And then I did a few chores. I brought some food scraps out to the chickens, which I love to do because they are a great way to practice sustainability. I offer them our food scraps, and in return we get eggs. And so I brought the eggs down and I hard-boiled some to have on hand for the week before I went into the garden, and I watered the garden and harvested some herbs. I harvested some rosemary to make a nice rosemary spray for hair growth, and then I harvested some calendula. I love calendula. It's like the sun, and I love to dry it and then add it to my teas for internal health like gut health, and then I also love to make herbal infused oils to apply topically to my skin to help with wound healing. After I worked in the garden, I decided to go out into the shade by the river and read my new book that I picked up from the bookstore. I have 3 weeks off from school, so I'm spending as much time as I can soaking in different novels, because when I'm in school, my brain is preoccupied by all of the information that I'm trying to learn from 2,000 years plus of knowledge. I'm reading a book called The Honey Bus, which is in part due to my absolute love for bees and my desire to keep bees sometime soon, and all of the workshops I've been doing on bees, and just, yes, my never-ending love story with the honeybee. And it's also in part due to the fact that it was on sale at the bookstore, and I have been dreaming of bees. They've been coming to me. There's been so many synchronistic opportunities with bees recently, and I've just been feeling so called to connect with them. And I was at the bookstore, and there were not a lot of books that were on the 50% off stack, and lo and behold, there was a book called The Honey Bus, and it takes place near where I'm going to school, and so it just felt very serendipitous for me to pick it up and read about it and just hear all about the magic that this woman experienced at a young age with honeybees, and how they saved her from her own grief and from her own loss through their stories and through their wisdom of beingness and just living in harmony with the earth and tending to the earth and tending to their sisters and being in servitude to each other and to everything and to all life on this earth. And bees offer so much wisdom, and so I was super excited to dive into this, and so far I'm really liking it. I'm only about 1/3 of my way into the book, and it's essentially just a love story with the bees. This young girl experiences grief at a young age, and her family dynamic is really toxic, and she moves halfway across the continent to kind of escape the family situation with her mom and her younger brother. and her grandparents end up taking them in, and the grandpa is a beekeeper and he has a bus full of bees, and there's just a whole healing cascade that takes place when she reconnects with the land and reconnects with the bees and all of their messages. So that's what I'm reading about, and just sitting here by the water soaking it all in. I'm probably going to put my feet in the river to ice them for a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit shy to take the full body plunge, but maybe we'll do it sometime soon. I'm just not quite there yet. I'm not feeling brave enough to full body submerge in the water, but putting my feet in sounds really nice. So I'll probably do that and just soak in all of the healing benefits of the water. And yeah, I'm just feeling really content. I'm taking a lot of time to just acclimate my nervous system to spring.
On the road, I've been away for far too long, but now I'm on my way back home. I hear the west winds calling out my name, they're telling me to head your way.
I was so excited because it was finally time to strain my rosehip tincture from last fall, and I wanted to share because look at this beautiful crimson dark color that it came out as. You can definitely tell that it is full of so many antioxidants and so much medicine, and adding on to that rose medicine from earlier, rose hips definitely offer a different energetic profile, and I love to tap into that fruiting accumulation that they gift us. After I strained my tincture, I made a lovely seasonal salad with a ton of spring veggies, as well as some cottage cheese for protein and sauerkraut for probiotics, and then I made a strawberry balsamic dressing. Eating seasonally is incredibly important because each vegetable is offering a different gift that our bodies need during that time of the year, so I definitely recommend learning about what's in season if you haven't already. And then after I ate lunch, I headed over to my pottery studio to work on some pieces that I've been working on and glaze some other ones that have been sitting on the shelf for some time now. I made some pieces that I am so excited to see how they turn out, and I will show you guys once I see the final product. When I am creating art and harvesting herbs and working with my hands, this is when I feel the most like myself. I feel like this is the most ancestral practice that we can really tap into. We are meant to work with our hands, especially as women. We are tenders, we are caregivers, we are earth lovers, and so if you can find some moments and some practices that really drop you into your body while you work with your hands, I definitely recommend. These practices allow me to escape my thinking mind and drop deep into my body. I hope you enjoyed spending the morning and the early afternoon with me in deep presence and creation. I'm curious what practices are anchoring you into your body during this season of life. So with that, happy spring, happy return of the sun, and I will talk to you guys soon in another video. I'm sending you all a very warm hug. Until next time, your friend, Emma.